What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer channel. Welcome back to another Monday Ramble. I might just date them. I might not be doing like Monday Ramble, Thursday Ramble, and all that kind of stuff anymore. It's just more so dating them and stuff like that. Not really timestamps, I guess. Well, date stamps, whatever. Better than mushroom stamps, I suppose. But we had an exciting weekend for the fight world, man. Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. We had the former UFC heavyweight champion of the world versus the boxing heavyweight champion of the world, who is known as like the undisputed champion, pretty much, who's going to fight Usyk here pretty quick. But there's a lot of controversy with that. A lot of people are thinking Francis won because of the knockdown. A lot of people saying that Tyson Fury barely won on outboxing them points-wise. I don't know. What do you think down below? Comment down below, especially if you keep up with the MMA world, or not just MMA world, fight world in general. That includes boxing, all that kind of jazz. And tell me which one you're more a fan of, boxing or MMA? Or do you follow a different sport and just follow that just for the pure hype, or were you new? You know, there's a lot of controversy with that. I don't know. I always thought Francis had really good hands. You know, he knocked people out with uppercuts and all that jazz. I think it was more so because Tyson Fury got too confident. You've seen how he lowered his hands, started trying to throw punches. He was treating him almost like Deontay Wilder, because I think he underestimated him because he thought that he was a lower level version of Deontay Wilder, and I think that's one of the main reasons why he got caught in that third round, especially that, because you seen how cocky he was, put his hands down, stand there right in front of him. You can't do that, especially when you're going up against another enormous man such as Francis Ngannou. But some people are saying it was a puncher's chance, he proved it, whatever. It's not just a puncher's chance. That dude was practicing boxing. He said it himself that he didn't want to go to MMA, that he wanted to be a boxer. He wanted to be like Mike Tyson, and you know, he was doing boxing stuff, but they talked him into doing MMA stuff. So I wasn't really surprised. I thought the big factor was if Tyson Fury severely underestimated his opponent and got clipped and lights out, you know. But we all know how hard it is to put Tyson Fury away, especially with that Deontay Wilder knocking him dead and he getting up like a zombie, you know, stuff like that. There's much more to it than just knocking people down, but you never know. It could have been his day that day. But regardless, congratulations to both of them. I only watched like the highlights of it. I didn't really watch the whole fight, so I don't know. I didn't get scored or anything like that. I didn't really want to. I was just, you know, we got to carve pumpkins and stuff like that with the family. So if you're a fight fan, and that's where this ends. I usually I'll start off with some fight news, and then I'll go on to my own daily rambles and stuff like that. Not daily, but, you know, my rambles in general. But anyways, I'm gonna be as consistent as I can be. I upload a minimum of Monday per week. If not, I'll hit up Thursday. And like last week, I hit it up in between, you know, on my walks. I've been hitting them at night. When I walk before my workout, as more of a warm up. So, and hit it there, and then I get into my workout after. So, usually it's like a 20-minute ramble, so it's not very long. But this one is more so like moving on. You know, I think it is what it is, right? People come and go in your life, and some people come in your life for years and years, and then they finally start showing who they are, or they change. You know, it's not really who they are; they change. We're human beings; we constantly changing. If you're not changing, then you probably got no pulse, right? So it's just sometimes, even in the game of love, or relationships in general, right? You start off, it's all hunky-dory, and then all of a sudden, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be years into it, right? And that that same chemistry isn't there. But the thing is, to you, that person changed, that they're not doing this, that, or another thing as well, right? It can also be said, what aren't you doing as well, I know, looking at myself, that in my past relationships, that we're quick to jump and blame the other person, right? We're quick to blame the other person for all wrongdoings, any and all wrongdoings, right? And we don't see necessarily how we may have also mistreated our partner, our significant other, lover, friend, whatever you want to call them, or how we undervalued them. We stopped doing some of the things that we could have been doing, and you laid there and you expected this person to please you in a sense, right? I see this too with some people, that I would call friends or something, like, I'm not gonna say any names, but and it's not, I'm not calling anybody out in specific. I'm just saying that I've seen it. I've been a part of it and stuff like that. You lay there, you expect things to happen, and then, somebody's gonna get fed up with somebody's bullshit, because one person's not helping out, or, somebody doesn't want to do the things that other person wants to do, right? And I'm not saying that whoever's listening to this is the problem, right? Because you might be the one trying to get everything orchestrated, trying to do things to help work on that relationship, and nothing happens. That person simply doesn't want to do nothing. You could be that person, or it could be your significant other that is that person. Sometimes we pull the wool over our eyes. When you first get in a relationship, you might not see some of those warning signs from those individuals because you're young, you're dumb, you're full of cum, or whatever, however that saying goes. But you just don't see those things. You blind yourself because you're so happy that you finally found somebody that wants to maybe be with you. You might have low self-esteem or something, or who knows? I don't know the case, or you're still so infatuated with them, right? And you choose not to see those things that might be a potential warning sign for you, and maybe you ignore them. Maybe you do see them and you're just ignoring them. I know in some people's cases that they just ignore it, and the fact of the matter is you shouldn't ignore it, especially to the point of where it happens for years, I've been been in that mistake myself, allowing a person to walk all over me, but at the same time I was trying to walk all over that person too, and not treating them to the best that I could treat them, and it's a hard part. It's easy to point out other people's faults, but it's super hard to point out our own faults, and like I always say, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, nobody's perfect, right? And it's really true. It's, some people, they experience it, and some people they don't, and they do experience it, and they just brush it under the table, man. It's not their fault. They don't know how to take responsibility for their own actions and move on from it, and sometimes some people just never learn, and and I think that's where, because they fall into that root, that rhythm, or whatever you want to call it, and of not trying and not treating other people with respect, the way that they deserve, and so that's why you see like some of these other people where they're like, everybody's a piece of crap, and because they don't want to go out there and form new relationships. They just want to sit there and then badmouth that person that who was in that relationship with them that went sour, and it's like, come on, dude, move on or something, Sure, you're not happy because they found somebody else after you. Okay, but that shouldn't stop you from trying to be happy yourself, And like I said, it's easy, and I see a lot of people like that. Those are the ones that turn the drugs. I mean, some people don't. They get enveloped into like their hard work and stuff like that, working hard and cutting themselves off from a lot of communication with the other people, you know? And I met some really cool people. There's this one dude in the buffet there. I can't remember his name right now. I think it was Ron. I believe his name was Ron. He was the main cleaner. He was the only one, and he wouldn't let them hire anybody else to help him because he would just get the job done by himself. And he was a great guy. I think he was kind of hard to understand because he like suffered strokes through the years, and he just like it was like spit would come out, had a hard time breathing, type stuff. But I could understand him. You know, my grandma's Korean and had to really listen hard to hear her because it was really bad English, right? So my grandma was a Korean speaker, and then she, you know, had to try to understand her when she spoke English and stuff like that. But so it was kind of similar to me for listening to this gentleman, and man, I regard him as a really good friend, but. You know, because he was always encouraging, even though he was also negative about his own aspects of his life, you know. He would always tell me that I'm capable of doing these things and being good, because he's like, dude, you always come to work type. Well, he didn't sound like that, like I said, but that's what he would say, right? And I'm like, yeah, man. You too, Ron, you know, like, what happened to you? Why are you so, you know, upset all the time? And then he told me a story about, you know, about that experience, telling me how I shouldn't trust women and stuff like that because he seen me with my girl at that time, right? And you know, I was like, yeah, man, yeah, I think you're just full of it, and that, you know, this person was probably a piece of crap and stuff. He's like, no, all women's like that, brother. And I'm like, all right, sir, all right, man, all right. And then, you know, it's you come to find out that some people can become like that, but. Maybe they were like that all the time, question mark, who knows? Or maybe they just became like that because, you know, maybe they fell out of love with you, but they don't want to break up that relationship. That could be true, and that's shitty, right? Because move on, man. Rip off the Band-Aid and move on. I know it sounds tough, but don't play with other people's feelings, and I think that's how some people get killed and stuff like that. But you can also break up with somebody and they're still going to become fucking weird stalkers breaking people's houses. I'll get back to that one here. I got a story for that one. You know, dang it, I threw myself out. Sorry, guys. But he was saying how she was just fucking other dudes and stuff like that. And, you know, he's like, whatever, fuck that bitch. And then basically kicked her out, right? And, you know, I think he ended up getting like a smaller house and stuff like that. But, you know, he was still working his ass off. He was real close to retirement. So, and, you know, he moved on, but he just never found anybody else. And he was, you know, he seemed somewhat happy anyways, not, you know, as happy as one person could be, and choosing to stay away from women because, you know, that wasn't not only not for him, but because, you know, I think he didn't want to go through all that work and all that effort just for somebody to do that to him because he was working his ass off. He said part of it was because he wasn't home as much and he was working a lot. And sometimes, you know, that can do it too. That does it to a lot of relationships or as an excuse anyways, you know, like if somebody was working that hard for me to stay home or whatever and take care of the house, I mean, I guess it's easy to say, but I would kind of understand, but I didn't go in that perspective, right? It's different when you're in that position, you know? And I don't know, it's a crappy situation all the way around, but, you know, at least you didn't kill nobody, you know, at least you didn't kill her and then the dude she was fucking around with, like, could have been multiple dudes, I don't know. But I guess it was still that, you know, he was able to move on and he kept working on with his life and, you know, he was still a great dude, but, you know, because of that relationship, he was never able to create any more relationships, especially with women, because he just didn't trust them and he thought they were all the same and stuff like that. But not all women are the same. Not all human beings are the same like that because, you know, he could have been a woman and he could have been saying the same thing about men, you know. So very easy. And in my experience, men and women, they do the same type of shit like that, you know. We're all human beings. People can say how we're different, blah, 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 but there's pieces of shit in all races, all genders, and all walks of life, right? There's also good people, you know. I think we're all unique in different ways, but some of us also can be shitty in the same ways too. So, but let's move on to that. To the next one where, you know, like you could break off a relationship too with somebody, and it could still turn, you know, go south because that person can turn into some type of psychopath, you know. Some people lose their lives, they get killed, they get all these horrible things, right? All these horrible things. We all know that's a part of the world, and that's one reason why I don't believe in censorship, because people should be exposed to that, to know that these are actual things that happen to people, you know, even to this day. It's not some kind of myth. I think people more so growing up in like more impoverished, they understand it more, and I think that's why they become grown at a younger age, because they're exposed to that shit, you know. So, but not everybody is, you know. Some people grow up in like a suburb and they never really seen that kind of shit. But, you know, there's this girl, I don't want to say any names, but I did hear this story real recently when I went to see my mom. She's not really my mom, but she gave me a couch to sleep on when I didn't have anywhere to go. So I went to visit her recently because she had lost her son, who's the same age as myself. And I finally had her meet my son, so that was awesome. And she was telling me the story about how her niece anyways broke up with her boyfriend, longtime boyfriend, and her doors were kicked in because he was trying to, he broke into her house trying to look for her and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, especially if that dude had a gun, he would have just killed everybody, you know? It's as easy as that, and I would not, you know, they would have all been dead, you know? And it's like, dude, that's crazy, you know? Like, I understand being in a relationship with somebody for so long and feeling so angry, you know? But for somebody to end it with you, it really has to be going bad, you know? Like, I don't know if it was his fault or her fault, but she broke up with him, so I can only go off of what's told, because I'm not in a certain situation, so we can only speculate, right? We can only stipulate on what happened in between those two individuals, but in all reality, we don't know. We don't know. She could have been the bad one, and he could have went crazy, or he could have been a lazy guy, lazy piece of shit, who, you know, wasn't treating her to the full potential or as right as he should have been. I don't know. I simply don't know. That's only between those individuals. But I know one thing for sure is it's not all right to go kicking down people's doors and shit. That's fucked up, you know? And that just shows a level of immaturity, right? And that's why it would lean towards the girl. But you can be the most mature guy, and then that person that you love so much, find out they're cheating on you. You find out, you know, they're going to leave you or whatever. And sometimes you just lose it, man. You know, all that trying to keep it together stuff, it pays a toll on somebody that's hurting, you know. So I also understand it from that level, because once upon a time I was that immature guy that was like that, right? I would flip my lid because of disagreements with my significant other, because of the hurtful things that we would say to each other, you know. And due to my inactivity, because I wanted to prioritize work, because I was trying to get money or whatever, and, you know, wanted to try to save up and do stuff, and the other person got impatient because, you know, it happens, man, it happens. Not everybody is who they say they are, and not everybody stays who you thought they were. Everybody changes, right? We're all humans. And, you know, that's why I always say, like, I wasn't perfect in any of my past relationships, and neither were those other people. So to me, whenever somebody tells me a story about their exes and they just say how bad they were, I just say, well, I don't know because I wasn't there. I don't know because the other person's not here telling us their side of the story. Even if they were, you might you're just gonna hear a bunch of bullshit, from both people. And you never really hear the good. And a lot of these rambles, I try to touch on that, how we all tend to lean towards the bad and never towards the good. So I know that I had a lot of great times, in a lot of my relationships, but, I did have a few bad ones, and sometimes the bad outweighs the good in some people's situation, and, they're not going to let that hold them back. So, the hardest part is moving on, but instead of dwelling on that bullshit, move on from it and, look at yourself too. Look at the shit you could have done better and try to fix it there. It's easy. It's not easy. It's always going to be hard. Always, especially if it's change about yourself, especially if it's about your own persons, So, but anyways, I think that's going to conclude this. I'll leave the rest up to you. And if you guys enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate it. And till next time, peace out, guys.